Well, welcome everyone to Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. I'm your host, Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, putting the retirement pieces together, part 5 in our series on the Journey Guide to Retirement with mathematician and software creator Michael Smith. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Okay, Michael, we're on our last segment now. We're going to put this all together and bring it together. Now, at the beginning, we said you kind of have to know your numbers. What's your budget? What are you going to be spending on? Your discretionary. Hey, I'm going to take the kids to Disneyland. I'm going to go on a European trip to see my original places where my family came from, blah, blah, blah. That's all discretionary because if you didn't have the money, you didn't have to really do that.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So you got to kind of know your spending numbers. That's what we said in the first. So let's say we know it. In this case, we have a $2 million assets that this client has and married, and they're going to go ahead and they've said to you as the planner, I need I love this. I need $100,000 in spending money every year.
That's right. After tax.
After tax.
Yeah.
So based on their assets, you're going to walk us through it and measure using 5,000 calculations.
That's right.
We're beyond the Navy's at 4,000 probability calculations. We're at 5,000 to try to narrow down to a real, what I would call high probability number.
That's right. Okay. Exactly. And so what we've done is we've entered that information in. Again, it's simple to input. There are 3 screens you can actually do right there with the client. Then you turn the screen around. You're actually dynamically, seeing on demand exactly what those numbers are actually going to produce. And that's just the beauty of what we have here. And so what we've done is we've gotten to this page where we're doing this concept of co-planning and actually dynamically with the client seeing if I add in those guaranteed income streams, because they've said, I want to make sure I have that baseline. I want to make sure that I'm able to achieve a particular goal in spending. We're able to add in those guaranteed income streams from immediate annuities, immediately see what the impact is. So we've already done that, Steve. We've already added in a deferred income annuity and a qualified longevity annuity contract. And we've also adjusted the asset allocation to bring them in line with their risk tolerance.
Okay, so we're really, when they come with a budget, they have their budget.
That's right.
They said in this case $100,000.
Yep.
And they have already done some sort of we've done some sort of a risk tolerance test or some kind of calculation to determine, hey, is your portfolio reflecting your risk tolerance? What are the psychonomics? Okay, now let's say we have that and we plug these numbers in. So I said, this is where people get surprised. And you're coming from a place of a tremendous prejudice against annuities as one example.
Exactly.
But let's just talk about why this mechanics makes it work, why the mechanic works.
Sure.
If I'm at 87,000 and I started to conform to the client's risk tolerance and I added annuities because of it to try to make that happen. The big issue about this, and this is why this is a strong demonstration, is that $92,000, that's day one still.
Exactly.
See, I just changed the future and made my beta risk of my portfolio go down.
That's right.
But that number is day one. See, that to me is something, when we're putting it all together, the pieces, that's my first thing out of my mouth to say to a client to underscore why this is so powerful.
Yeah, and so what you're doing is you're looking at the risk tolerance for the entire life of the plan. It's not enough just to think, okay, only day one, what's kind of the risk tolerance. You're actually looking at over the whole life of the plan, making sure that we have that guaranteed income and supplanting then those additional assets that's needed. And so that's what we've already done. We've dynamically been able to do that to this point. And, thinking about, okay, how can we put all of this together, right? So we've added in the annuities, modified the allocation. So we still have this piece about Social Security. So in the first session, we talked about adding in or making those adjustments to Social Security. Well, let's go back to that and see, okay, we've already increased their income, right? From 87.9 to 92.6, a dramatic increase in what they can spend, again, after tax. Their goal, though, is 100,000. Coming in, we thought, that's pretty lofty. They're going to have to make some sacrifices in order to get there. But what we can actually demonstrate is, okay, you don't have to make those sacrifices. All that we need to do is actually look at, and again, this is happening in real time, by deferring Social Security for both of them out to, we can go to full retirement age, and we demonstrated that before what the impact was. Well, what if we could take it even further out to age 70 and really try to maximize how much they can spend in retirement? Look at this, Steve. We've been able to increase from 87.9 to 102.4. That's a dramatic increase.
Now, let's keep in mind to get our timeline straight.
Yes.
We're not retiring at 70.
No.
We're retiring still early, as they said, the next
Exactly.
year.
That's
so
right.
they're what, 64, 63?
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
So we're still getting 102,000 at 64, 63. I don't
That's
have to
right.
wait till 70 to get
No,
this.
no.
See, that to me is the drama here. That to me is the power.
It's so important.
Right.
So important. So again, we're thinking about day one for retirement. How much can they spend? Now, this is in today's dollars.
Right.
So this number actually a few years from now will actually be inflated, right? So we're taking all of that into account in our calculations. We're
So
adjusting
you're not
for
only taking
inflation.
the taxes, you're taking out, your cost of living is involved.
Exactly. That's right.
Okay, now
That's
you
right.
plugged in, I think, originally 5% in our first segment, right? 5 in return for regular security return or portfolio.
Yeah, we're actually, because we're doing Monte Carlo simulations, so the mean is actually around 5, between 5 and 7. Depends on whether you're talking about bonds or equities.
So, okay, that's fine. But now what are we doing for inflation?
So for inflation, we're assuming that because we're in a low inflationary period, and again, all of this is adjustable if the advisor decides they want to do something different. By default, we have an inflation of 2% growing by 3 basis points a year. So that's the assumption that we're building into this. The advisor can change that if they decide that that it doesn't kind of meet their expectations.
But I'm taking care of taxes and I'm taking care of inflation.
Yes.
It's actually reflected in these.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
I like the idea of making a modification that pushes out, in this case, Social Security is one of my resources.
Yeah.
Pushing it out to 70 without it changing my retirement date.
That's right.
See, this is the
That's
thing that blows my mind. Now, this is one of the, when I first saw you bring this to me, I was like, that to me could be where, there's a lot more going on here. But,
Oh, yeah.
But that was the number one issue of having you on the show. Because
That's right.
that to me is impact. I didn't change your date, but I did change your rate of return, your actual money you're pulling
That's
in.
right.
And I've already
That's
incorporated taxes, and I slapped an inflation number on it.
So the name of the game, Steve, is about making sure that we're providing solutions. As an advisor, we're providing solutions for the client, not sacrifices. And that's what really we want to make sure that we're focusing on here. Now, sure, we can go down and we can modify some of these things if we want to have increased savings during retirement, or prior to retirement, we want to change the date. You can do all of those things, but we want to focus on what are those things that we can actually do that are solutions. This didn't require any sacrifice from the client because this is what they're actually spending in retirement, day one. All we've done is just reallocated into things that are more efficient for the client.
Yeah, to me, this is why having this, if I'm an advisor and I'm watching this demonstration and I see this and I'm saying my client is not sacrificing anything on their lifestyle or their target date of retirement, and I can hit those numbers by modification. And remember, the two things we modified, you think we need more rate of return, so we need more exposure to beta, have a beta risk, and more into the market.
Right.
We've actually done the exact opposite. We put more of our talent or our resources into Social Security by delaying it and picking up these deferred income annuities, whether in your scenario, non-qualified portion, and another one in a qualified longevity annuity contract, and deferring it.
Yes.
Now think about what we just said.
Yeah.
I reduced the beta risk.
That's
I
right.
increased my income day one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like I've died and gone to heaven, right?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
this is why this kind of tactical approach, using this kind of software that you have developed, is excellent.
And just to go back, we talked about this in the last session, but going back to looking at, well, how does one plan compare to another? We're able to demonstrate across all market conditions that their current plan, this blue line, and then this new scenario, this modified plan, they're better off across the board. This is 5,000 simulations that we're doing here, instantly being able to see that. It's I think it's incredibly impactful.
Keep in mind, if we actually tested this out and used that in a 10% correction, a bear market, which is going to be a lot longer, maybe 20% down, or a black swan event like 2008, and you overlaid this, like the lost decade, as they call it, from 2001 to 2010, if this kind of scenario shows a client under what I would call one of the worst conditions we've ever seen in modern history,
That's right.
if you can survive that, and this is demonstrating how to do this without sacrifice lifestyle,
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
thing that blows my mind.
It's all in there.
That's all
That's
in.
incorporating those types of black swan events and those extremely poor market situations.
That's correct. See, that to me, that's the powerful underpinning, things that maybe the client doesn't really understand, but you're going out ahead of it and saying, I've already kind of incorporated this. And as I said before, if the Navy's doing 4,000, and you're doing 5,000, I feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I want to thank you, Michael, for coming in here and sharing this series on the Journey Guide to Retirement. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.